You know what the Colts proved to me today? They proved that they could win in high pressure situations. Not just the offense, but the defense too. And it's easy to go back and look at this game and be like, this Colts defense played horribly. And for the most part, it did play pretty bad. But I think it's important to go back and look at who the Colts were missing, who the Colts were playing, and then most importantly, the defense stepped up when it mattered most. Okay? So don't forget the Colts were missing Shavarius Ford, missing Latu. Jalen Jones is out for quite a while, put on IR. So we were out a depth piece on top of our number one corner. And the beginning of this game was looking a bit sketchy. Right? The Broncos go down, they score a touchdown on their first drive. Well, the Colts score a field goal their first drive, and the Broncos go down, they score a touchdown. Colts answer with the field goal, Broncos answer. I don't remember if that was a touchdown next or what, but regardless, the beginning of this game in the first half, the Colts defense was pretty bad. Couldn't stop a nosebleed, but the offense kept up. Daniel Jones in this offense had a big drive at the end of the half before the half ended when it mattered most. They went down, they scored a touchdown, make it 20-21. That was huge because the Broncos coming out with the ball the second half, knowing that we were really struggling to play defense. You know, it felt like this put a lot of pressure on the Broncos in the second half. It felt like it put a lot of pressure on Bo Nix. And can they continue to score because the Colts are right there behind them? And this Colts team won in many different ways in one game. In the first half, they won with their offense. In the second half, they won with just like pure grit and defense was opportunistic. I wouldn't say the defense was great in the second half, but they're opportunistic. They adjusted. They allowed one touchdown, and they got an interception. They found a way to get an interception while the Broncos were practically in the red zone. And a lot of people are going to go back and point in this game and be like, well, the Broncos aren't really all that. Bo Nix isn't really all that. Those are people that just don't know football, man. Those are people that don't do their homework because Bo Nix is a really damn good quarterback. The Broncos are a really talented football team. Don't let these 2 weeks fool you on the Broncos. You know, even though they're 1-1, the Broncos are still one of the best teams in the AFC. They're still one of the more talented teams in the NFL. The Colts were just better on this day. And a lot of people are going to go back and they're going to point towards that penalty at the kick. They're going to point towards that stuff. You know, and they're going to point towards Shane Steichen. Why was he running the football when you should have gotten closer? You could say there was a little luck there. I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of fortune. Shane Steichen got a little bit fortunate there. I very much disagreed with him running the football and just chewing the clock and not letting the Broncos get. You know, I agree with the philosophy, not letting the like the main point what he was trying to do. He didn't want the Broncos to get the football back. I get that, but you also have to put your kicker in a better situation to succeed there. I feel like he got a little scared in that moment. He should have passed the ball more. And I get it. He didn't want the Broncos to get the football back. The way your defense is playing, I don't blame him. People don't understand how good of a quarterback Bo Nix is. And a lot of people are going to talk about this Colts defense this game. A lot of people are going to say the Colts got very lucky. And fine, whatever. You could. But if you watch this whole game, you could see that the Colts went through hell in the first half. You could blame penalties. You could, there were a lot of PIs. There were questionable calls. But during the live play-by-play, I'm like, look, there are bad calls every game. Sometimes there are very bad calls. Sometimes there are ridiculous calls. But there are other points in the game where a team could have done better, could have done something in a better way, and they would have been in that game and would have kept themselves in the game. You can't always blame the refs. You can't really ever blame the refs. Although there are some instances where refs have done a very poor job. At the end of the day, you have to go back and watch these games and see where other opportunities were missed. But the Colts pretty much made the most of the opportunities that they were given. And I get it, the penalties were bad, but this was a gritty win. Let's not forget about the penalties in the first half. You could say they went the Broncos' way. In the second half, you could kind of say some of them went the Colts' way. Whatever, it's penalties. The Broncos had an opportunity to win this game. They were up. Bo Nix threw an interception in the red zone. Colts earned it. You could say all these different things. You can go back and watch the game and see that there were many different scenarios where the Broncos could have done better. They could have scored a touchdown. They could have gone and done something. They could have put this game away very easily, that offense, but they made a couple mistakes too. So it's easy to go and blame the refs, but it's another thing to go back and watch the game and understand why the result is what it is. The Colts fought hard, and the Colts aren't 100% going into this game. On top of that, don't forget, Daniel Jones is still new to Shane Steichen. It looks like they've been together for forever. They've been together since they've both been in the league practically. It seems like, Daniel Jones has been with Steichen since he's been playing football. That's how good Daniel Jones looks in the system. But look, I don't like the play call. Let's move back to that play call. Let's move back to that ending a little bit there. I don't like that play call, and I don't like that philosophy, so that's going to need to change. You did get fortunate with that penalty. You got to put, and he did. Shane Steichen did put this offense in the position for them to win it, because you don't want to put the defense in a position where they have to win the game. That's not the defense's job. The defense is to keep you in the game. The defense is to get a couple stops and allow your offense to go ahead and take the lead. The defense's job is not to win the game. That's the offense's job. If the offense can't close out the game, that's not the defense's job. It's really not. In today's NFL, you could say years ago that the defense's job, they literally said defense wins championships. And you need to be able to get a couple stops here and there when it matters most. And the Colts defense did that. And don't forget, the Colts, like I was starting to say earlier, I kind of went back on the Shane Steichen play calling. That was questionable. But don't forget who the Colts were missing, Charvarius Ward. You saw Xavier Howard had a couple PIs. Once again, I'm not going to get into the ref situation. Couple PIs, whatever. Xavier Howard isn't a number one anymore. He's not what he was when he was with the Dolphins. He's not that caliber of a cornerback. He is not that guy anymore. He's a good number two. But Charvarius Ward is that number one for us. So we were out our number one corner. And on top of that, we didn't have Jalen Jones. So on top of that, our main cornerback 2 was cornerback 1. And then we didn't have our, say, fourth cornerback to step in and play cornerback 2. And our fourth cornerback, I would consider Jalen Jones fourth behind, I'll say Kenny Moore is better. Even though Kenny Moore is mainly a slot guy, I would say that's the fourth cornerback on that depth chart. It kind of depends on how you look at things in talent. I think X, Ward, and Kenny are top 3. And then, whatever order you want to put them in, whatever. I think Ward is 1, Kenny Moore is 2. I think you could probably switch Ward and Kenny Moore. It's just they both play different spots on the field. Kenny plays a slot, and Ward plays outside. Both are really good at what they do. You could rank those whatever way you want in terms of talent. They just play in different spots. That's it. And Ward can play in the slot as well. Kenny Moore can play on the outside, but you'd much rather him in the slot. But you didn't have Jalen Jones, who was, so you were dealing with Mekhi Becton or whoever the heck else you had out there. I can't remember who else we had out there, but, you go back and watch this game, you can see the other guys stepped up. Nick Cross stepped up in a big way. Nick Cross has played his butt off these first 2 games. He's played his butt off. You have Cam Bynum, who has an interception in both games. And they're both pretty big interceptions if you think about it. Massive. Both interceptions just completely shifts momentums in both games, and I just noticed that. I think the camera is really crooked, but oh well, we're gonna deal with that. I can't really tell right now, but my camera setup is kind of like ghetto right here, but we're doing what we got. So where were we? We were talking about Cam Bynum, big free agents signing, Charvarius Ward. This Colts defense is good enough to win a championship, and this Colts offense. We'll move to them in a minute. I do want to say the Colts defensive line did pretty good getting pressure in the big moments as well. Maybe they didn't get pressure all day long, and Nix gave us a problem a little bit running the football early on. But the Colts shore that up. They didn't let that happen again. This Colts defense wasn't making the same mistakes over and over again like they have been, like we're used to them doing. Lou Anarumo has his Colts defense playing at a very high level. Nick Cross is playing great. Cam Bynum is playing well. It feels like Lou Anarumo knows how to put everyone into the best spots possible to succeed. And we should get Charvarius Ward back next week for the Titans. Titans, we're going to take it one day at a time. We'll talk about the Titans when the Titans come. It looks like a good matchup for us, but it's a divisional game. And we just got to take one day at a time. And now that we got the defense out of the way, defense struggled, but they stepped up when it mattered most. And that's what's important. You step up when it matters most, then you're a pretty good defense in my eyes, even without some of your best players. This defense played pretty good for the circumstances and who they were playing. Bo Nix is one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. And I don't care what people want to tell you. Whoever's telling you is not, they don't do their homework. They're just telling you what they're being fed by the national media. They're just telling you what they think is right, not what is right. There's a difference. They're not telling you what you want to hear. No, they are telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you the truth. So the offensive side. God damn, man. Danny Dimes. I mean, let's pull up the numbers here. Because Daniel Jones, for the first 2 weeks, he's 2-0. The Colts are 2-0 for the first time since 2009. If you guys don't know, that's the last time the Colts made the Super Bowl. Daniel Jones, in his Week 2 game versus the Broncos. Broncos have a really good defense, and we're going to talk about this offense for a little while because this offense is just is clicking on all cylinders, and it's only Week 2. This is only Week 2 of Daniel Jones being in the system with these guys, with these starters. You guys know it takes some time for quarterbacks to adjust to new weapons. Heck, we're Colts fans. We've heard this every year for the past 7 years. When you have new quarterbacks every single year, sometimes it takes a while to adjust them. Usually it does. It takes a while for them to settle in. It takes time for the receivers get used to the quarterback, for the quarterback to use to the weapons, and the quarterback to use to the play calling. And there's so many different factors and moving parts when you have a new quarterback every year or any year that it's difficult to come out and play the way Daniel Jones has straight away. This game, Daniel Jones is 23 of 34. What is that, 70.5 completion percentage? Almost a 71. If you round up, it's a 71 completion percentage. 316 yards, 1 passing touchdown. He had 237 passing yards in the first half alone. Okay. And he had a rushing touchdown. You move to the running game. It's so crazy to me that it feels like the running game, like if you're watching this game, it really feels like this game was going through the passing game for the Colts, and it really did. The first half, it was through the passing game. The second half, it was like beat the Broncos down and get that run game going. Slow this game down because your defense is struggling, so slow the game down, run the football, and make that Denver Broncos offense be as efficient as possible, because if they screw up, the Colts are going to limit their drives and the Colts are going to take advantage. The Colts have scored on what, 8? No. On their first 10 drives of the season? The first 10 possessions of the season, the Colts scored. I think there were I still don't think the Colts punted this game. They went for it on fourth down a couple of times and didn't get it. But golly, Daniel Jones in this run game, and then Jonathan Taylor, like I said, it didn't feel like Jonathan Taylor was the focal point. And even though he had 25 carries. I think this is just how much the Colts had the football. You look at the time of possession, the Colts had the football 5 whole minutes more than the Broncos. That's not really a major advantage. But the Colts offense still had 473 yards to the Broncos 324. 306 passing yards to the Broncos 206 passing yards. 157 rushing yards to 118 rushing yards. 7 yards per play to 6 yards per play. Like I said, the Broncos offense is not bad. The Colts offense just played better in every way somehow. It's just a complete offensive victory. Fourth down, 0-2. I was not a fan of Shane Steichen's first fourth down call, to be honest with you. I did not like running it with Tyler Warren, but, sometimes you have to take a step back and say, hey, he was trying to be creative. And if he got that with Tyler Warren, everyone would have looked at him and been like, yeah, he's a complete genius. But when you don't get it, everyone's going to bash you. That's just part of the game, but I would rather you give it to our best runner in Jonathan Taylor, but you try being creative. You gave it to Tyler Warren, and I like that. He went for it on a big down. I like that. You have to be unpredictable, and when it doesn't go your way, everyone's going to call you out. But you got to try. And I love that about Shane Steichen. I think a lot of people get that wrong about coaches in the NFL in general. Coaches trying to be creative. I think there's a good creative and a bad creativity. And I think Shane Steichen has the good creativity gene in him. But, third down efficiency is 6 for 13, just below 50%. Total plays, 67. Only allowed 1 sack. Pretty good. We didn't get any. But we did have big plays. We did have a couple of big plays on Bo Nix. Whether it was just getting pressure or we struggled to get home sometimes, but it didn't matter because the offense just played better. The Colts offense just found ways to keep on going. And, the Broncos had a phenomenal day on offense. The Colts just had an even better day on offense, and that's why they won. There was a lot going against them in this game. There was a lot of things that happened that went against the Colts. You're just like, the Colts are never going to recover. And the past would be like, okay, we lost because the refs did this. We lost. No. Instead, we're looking back at this game and the Colts, and we're saying, hey, the Colts overcame this. The Colts overcame these penalties. That's what good football teams do. They don't care. Yeah, the penalties suck, and they're going to care, and they're going to get mad if the penalties suck, or they're not going their way, whatever. You could say what you want about the penalties, but good football teams keep fighting. Good football teams find a way to still win. Even though this game was, I'll be honest, at the end, the Colts got fortunate to win. They very much so did. But they won. They found a way. They're 2-0. Down their best cornerback. Down one of their best pass rushers. Down a backup cornerback. So they had to deal with a cornerback 3 or 4. A cornerback that's been on the roster for maybe 3 weeks and straight from the Vikings. Oh. But the more you talk about this Colts team, the more impressive it becomes. They weren't even fully healthy. You have Javarius Ward, this defense might look a little better. Probably does. You probably don't have all those PIs. Now, one thing I will say about the Colts is I want to see the red zone offense get a little better. You were playing one of the better defensive teams in football. Let's not forget that either. The Colts just played one of the best defensive teams in football. They're one of the most talented defenses in the league. You have Pat Surtain, Brandon Jones, Dre Greenlaw. Their defensive line is good. Their linebackers are solid. They're very well coached. The Colts just sat back and they attacked their best cornerback all day long. And how about these receivers? Like I said, I could keep talking about this game all night long because that's how well the Colts played. This is a team win. This is a team, ladies and gentlemen. So back to receiving. Let's talk about Tyler Warren, man. A player that doesn't look like a rookie. He looks like he's been in the league for 8, 9, 10 years. And that's a great thing because he's a rookie and we have him for the next 8, 9, 10 plus years, potentially. Tyler Warren is absolutely incredible. 4 receptions, 79 yards. He finds a way to make people miss in ways you don't think that a tight end shouldn't. Let me tell you the play this game that really stood out to me about Tyler Warren. Rookie tight end, all-pro cornerback, a huge, big pressure third down. Tyler Warren is one-on-one against former Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain. One-on-one. Tyler Warren just wins the route, wins at the catch point, and makes a big first down catch. A rookie tight end against a Defensive Player of the Year cornerback. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. You have Michael Pittman Jr., who beat not Cortland Sutton, who beat Pat Surtain quite a few times. This is one of the best, if not the best, cornerbacks in the league that the Colts just went after, and they shredded him. They literally had their way with him. Daniel Jones putting the ball exactly where it needed to be, only where Michael Pittman could get it. Only where Josh Downs, Alec Pearson, A.D. Mitchell could get it. How about that catch by A.D. Mitchell early on in the game? Incredible catch on Pat Surtain. Our supposed number 4 receiver, A.D. Mitchell, is very talented. Just an outstanding game from every single player on the offensive side of the football. Alec Pierce continuing doing what he does best. 4 receptions for 68 yards. He did I don't know if it was Pittman or Pierce or Mitchell, but someone dropped the football, but it was tipped and it was short. Nonetheless, it wasn't in their hands, could have caught it, but let's not get picky. It's okay to get picky, but it is what it is. So, if there's a couple of things I really have to critique in this game about the Colts, it's of course the defense. The defense really struggled in the first half, but offense was able to keep up, and I feel like this team succeeded the most in the highest pressure situations. I felt like the offense was under pressure in the entire first half, but while the offense was under pressure, they were still humming. They were finding ways to keep points on the board, to keep scoring, to stay in this game. Waiting for the defense to make a play. The defense makes a couple plays, and the offense makes it work. That big play the big run by Jonathan Taylor after that interception by Cam Bynum was wonderful, but you need to punch the ball in there for a touchdown. That's a big gripe. You need to punch the ball in there for a touchdown. You need to find a way to score there because you get that big interception. You need to find a way after that big run by Jonathan Taylor to go and score a touchdown. Now we're nitpicking, but you have to score a touchdown there. You have to get better in the red zone. And I think as these Colts receivers get used to Daniel Jones, I think as Daniel Jones gets used to this offense and they get more accustomed to each other, that's when I think this red zone offense is going to click. But the red zone offense needs to get better. And I can't say it's going to until I see it because this red zone offense has been a question mark. It needs to get better. I mean, we did play one of the best teams in the league, and we still find a way to beat them this week. That's good. Next week, we can't overlook the Titans. We can't start looking to that Rams game. That Rams game is going to be big. It's going to be a good game. But if we go 3-0 in the AFC, 1-0 in the AFC South, it's very possible. I'm telling you guys, this Colts team, there are very few teams in the NFL that the Colts will have trouble with beating. Or maybe I should put it this other way. I don't think there's a team in the NFL that the Colts cannot beat right now. I don't think there's a team. But it's still week 2. It's still early. The Colts need to do this all season long. They need to continue to evolve. So we have to be honest with ourselves. It's still early. Can this Colts offense evolve? And they did just beat one of the better teams, sure. But now there's some film on the offense. Film on the defense. How can they continue to perform? I think they will because they have the talent. Downs, Pittman, Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, that might be the best top 4 receivers that team has in the league. Pierce, Pittman, and Downs are all capable of making big-time plays at any moment, and Mitchell has proved that last game, kind of. He hasn't had much time, but he's capable. You have to worry about those guys. You have to worry about Jonathan Taylor either running or catching the football. He could do both. You worry about Tyler Warren. On top of that, Daniel Jones can run the football. Daniel Jones is a fast MFer. He's athletic. And then Shane Steichen's creativity. The Colts have it on offense. The defense, I think, may struggle at times throughout the year. But if they were to come up in big moments versus the Broncos here, I think that tells you what you need to know. This defense is going to show up when it matters most. And I think being fully healthy next week, if we get Latsu back, if we get Shavarius Ward back, I think we're going to see more of the Colts defense we saw in week 1. Now we will be playing Cam Ward. We'll be playing a rookie quarterback. But I think Lou Anarumo is going to excel versus these younger quarterbacks. And Bo Nix still had his way. Bo Nix had his way. So he didn't really limit Bo Nix. Bo Nix really had his way. You could say the defense stepped up when it mattered most, yeah. But Bo Nix pretty much had his way with this defense. You could say the Colts were injured, fine, whatever. But Bo Nix had a day. You can't take that away from Bo Nix. When the Colts are healthy, this defense is probably going to be more consistent and look a little better from week to week. I really don't think there's a team that the Colts can't beat on their schedule. The Chiefs are looking like the Chiefs right now. They're early. It's fine. It's early in the season. They'll probably figure it out. But the Chiefs, they're beatable. Let's just look at the rest of the schedule for heck's sakes. The Colts could beat the Titans. They could beat the Rams. They could beat the Raiders. They could beat the Cardinals. I think the Chargers is the most difficult game they have in the schedule. I genuinely think that the Chargers are the most difficult team. Or is the team that we're going to have the hardest time with. I'm happy we have the 49ers, a primetime game later in the year. We have the Falcons game as an international game. That'd be a good game. Michael Penix, young, another team that I think is really underrated is the Falcons. Big time underrated. But, I mean, you look at those Steelers have won. The Steelers' defense has struggled. Titans' defense, I think, could give us some issues. But I think if we could gain almost 500 yards in the Broncos' defense, I think we could pretty much do it against anyone. But it's not realistic to do that every week. So defense is going to have to step up some weeks. But they did step up when they needed to this week. I have to keep reiterating that. I'm telling you guys, you can beat the Chiefs. You can beat the Texans. I don't know if they lose to the Jaguars. I think this is the year they beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville. This is a team that's breaking so many curses. It's just playing for something bigger than themselves. They have a lot of strength in them from Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay has given them a lot of confidence as well. We know we're playing it for him. But it's not only that. This Colts team not only has the confidence, not only has the energy from Jim Irsay. Not only just doing it for him. Well, it's Maine. But this is a talented football team. This team is ready to make a run this year. I fully believe it. I fully believe that this team is locked, they're loaded, and the scary part is Daniel Jones has only been with this offense and Shane Steichen for 2 weeks. It's either it's going to get even better or the film that other teams get is going to make it difficult. But I think with how much talent the Colts have, there's only so much film you can watch. I think, something I like to say pretty often is you need, teams know once you get to like the middle of the season, teams know what they need to do to beat you for the most part. But there's a difference in knowing what you need to do and having the talent and actually being able to do what you need to do to beat that football team. And the Colts just have so much talent. They're skill position players. The defense, I question a little bit, sure. I think that this defense line, the linebackers, I think it's fair to question the linebackers. I think it's fair to question some of these things. Can Bynum stay consistent all year long? I think is an important question to ask. Nick Cross, are they? He's had a phenomenal 2 weeks, but will this Colts team come back down to earth, so to say? Or with all the talent they have, are they going to continue to keep on playing at this high of a level? Because, man, I'm telling you, this Colts team is good. This is a freaking strong team. And I'm ready to see it. I'm here for the ride, fellas. I'm here for it. So I appreciate you guys tuning into this video. Little recap and talking about the rest of the Colts season. Daniel Jones, like I said, guys, Daniel Jones, we didn't really talk about him too much. I mean, we did, but we kind of talked about the rest of the offense. It's just Spencer Schrader, too. Big-time kick. Big way to bounce back and make that game-winning field goal. But Daniel Jones, like I was saying, I mean, he's been doing everything just good. He's not making boneheaded mistakes. He's doing what he should be doing. And with the talent around him, it's all he has to do. He doesn't have to carry the Colts. He doesn't have to do every little thing. He doesn't have to run for 60-plus yards. He doesn't have to be the run game. Jonathan Taylor's got that. He doesn't have to, worry about not being protected. Quentin Nelson in this offensive line has that. He has guys that can make plays for him that could go and get the football. Downs, Pittman, Pierce, Mitchell, Tyler Warren, JT coming out of the backfield. The list goes on. DJ Giddens is another guy that I think is very good, has a lot of potential to tap into. Fellas, the Colts are one of the best teams in the NFL. The Colts are one of the best teams in the NFL. It's going to be an exciting year. I know I keep saying the same thing, and I keep, kind of going on about the same things here now, so it's time to get out of here. But it's okay to get excited. It's okay to get pumped up because this team is for real. I wouldn't mislead you guys. I wouldn't, try and steer you guys wrong and give you false hope. The Colts are the real deal. They're going to push the best teams in the NFL to their limit. This is a team that can make the conference championship. And dare I say it, this is a team that I think can make this. You know what? I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. It's week 2. I think you know what I wanted to say. The Colts have to continue to do this one day at a time. 1 week at a time. Can't look that far yet. We got a division to win. We got a Titans team to beat next week. We got a guy up there that we're fighting for every single week. And the Colts are doing that with their full hearts, and it's not fluky. This is not fluky. This is legit. This is a legit team. May go live here sometime this week to talk about it a little more, sometime during the day. But go Colts, man. Go Colts. This is a team. It's going to surprise a lot of people. And people are still shitting on us. People are still not giving the Colts the credit they deserve. That's okay. Because the Colts, you don't have to give the Colts shit. The Colts are coming to take what they deserve. Take it. Take it or leave it. I'll see you guys. Appreciate you guys. Go Colts. Love the Colts, baby. Let's go.